Welcome back. My name is Andreas Chatt, your tech-curious web designer, passionate about the front end, the backend and all that jazz. So in my previous video, I gave a quick overview of what we're going to build, so if you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend checking that one out first. In this video, we will go through some installations and the Django setup process. And we will also get a first glimpse at Django's view and template system.
Alright, let's get started. First, we need to install a text editor for our programming. This is called an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. The most popular out there, and it's also free, is Visual Studio Code. So head over to the official website and download the program. One thing to mention here is that I'm working on a Mac, so while most code will be exactly the same, there might be some differences how files are installed and saved on different operating systems, so keep that in mind if something is not working as expected. So once downloaded, we can create our folder. Let's create a folder called Awesome and drag and drop it into the program. So I went full screen here so the code is more visible. As we can see, I'm inside the Awesome folder here. But before we go any further, let's go quickly over the extensions I have installed. If you click on this icon here, these are extensions. So the first one is auto rename tag. This is a very useful extension to make sure that the first and the last tag are the same. The next extension is OneDark Pro. It just gives the code a very cool theme. Another important one is Python, so because we are coding in Python. Then Python indent. It makes sure the indentation is correct. And when you write in Python, the indentation is very important. Without the correct indentation, your code won't work. And another one is Tailwind CSS. So this is a helper tool to get classes from Tailwind. So next let's install Python. Let's go to the Python website. Let's go to downloads and download the latest version. Once the download and the installation is done, we can check in Visual Studio Code the version of Python. If we go to the terminal, new terminal, and we write Python 3 version, we can see the version. If you see here Python 3 and a number, then Python 3 is installed and we are good to go. So next, let's install a virtual environment. If you don't know what a virtual environment is, allow me to describe it quickly. When we install programs on our computer, they become available globally and they can be accessed from anywhere. This is our global environment. However, in programming, we often use many different small programs known as dependencies or packages, and upgrading some of them to their latest version can sometimes break the code in our projects. That's why it's important to keep each project and its dependencies with their specific versions isolated and organized. This is where virtual environments come in. A virtual environment is an isolated environment where we can install applications specific to a particular project without interfering with other programs installed globally. However, we need to activate the virtual environment to make our programs work. We have already installed Visual Studio Code and Python globally, and Python comes with an option to create a virtual environment. Let's do that now. So in our terminal we write Python 3-m, that's the M stands for module, VNV, so we want to access the VNV module, the virtual environment, and now we give it a name, and I just give it VNV name as well. Enter. So it created now a folder with our virtual environment called VNV. So to activate it now, we write in the terminal source vnv/bin/activate. So we go to our source folder, then we go in the folder VNV to the bin folder and call the activate script. that will basically activate our virtual environment now. So let's press enter, and there we go. We can see here in parentheses VNV, that means we are now working in our virtual environment. Now we can install our first package. To install packages in Python we use pip. So pip is an acronym for Python installs packages. So pip is a program which lets us connect to the internet and download Python packages. So the first package we download is Django. So we write pip install Django. And as you see here, it connects to the internet and downloads all the required files. Here you can see it tells us we should also upgrade our pip. Let's do that now. Pip install -- upgrade pip. So now Django is installed. We can inspect the virtual environment folder here, and under libs or libraries we will see Django is now installed here. So all the packages we download with pip will go in here. Let's create now our project in Django. For that we write Django-admin start project, and then the name of our folder where we have all the core files are stored, like the settings file, like the URL file. So I normally call this folder core because it's a core folder in any Django project. And I also like to prefix it with a underscore. In that way the folder is very easily visible in my content structure. So let's do that, a underscore core. And I will add also a dot at the end. This dot means install this package in the current folder. So without the dot, Django would create another folder in the folder. Click enter, and we can see here the a underscore core folder is created. In this folder we have a couple of files here. The first one is the underscore init __.py file. This is basically an empty file, and it basically tells Django that this folder is part of a Django project. The next one is the ASGI or ASCII.py file. ASCII stands for Asynchronous Server Gateway Interface. This basically just defines a way how we communicate with the server. It is used, for example, when we build something with WebSockets. So for now, we don't use this file. Now this is the important file, the settings.py file. In this settings.py file, we have a lot of settings configurations. The installed apps, middleware, databases, and we'll add more configuration as the project progresses. The next one is the urls.py file. This is also a very important file. Here we write all our URL paths. So here we have already our first path is the domain/admin. We'll go to our admin sign, we will see it in a second. And we will add a lot of URL patterns here very shortly. The next file is the whiskey.py file. So whiskey stands for Web Server Gateway Interface. It is used to request normal web pages, and this is the default way Django is communicating with the server. We don't have to touch this file either. So this is the settings folder. The two main files in here for us are the settings and the urls.py file. So outside the core folder it also created this manage.py file. This file is used to run the server. So let's type Python. So as we are here in the virtual environment and we have only one version of Python installed, we don't have to write Python 3. So just Python manage.py run server. Now the server is running. You can see here the red text. This is only saying that we have not migrated to the database. You can see here also created a database right now. This SQLite is our testing database, but we have not made the connection yet. First I will show you the website. It's a default website. If you copy this URL here and open it up in the browser, You can see Django already created this default website for us. In our path we have seen it also created the admin path, so /admin. We have not created our logins yet and we are not connected yet to the database. Let's do that now. Back to the code. The server is running at the moment. We first have to shut it down. We shut it down with Ctrl+C. Now we can type our commands. So let's migrate to the database now. So we write python manage.py migrate. As you can see here, it created a bunch of tables now. They are used for the authentications of users. Now that the users tables are created, we can add our admin. So let's write python manage.py create super user. It is not really important what you write here. This is just for our local development. So I write here admin. We don't have to give it an email. Fine. Password. Okay, and the super user is created. Now let's test it. Start up the server with python manage.py runserver. Now we can type admin here and password. And we're logged in now to the admin panel. We can see the table Django created already, groups and users, and in the users we can see it created the admin user. Here we have the password encrypted. Here we also have a section with permissions and some timestamps, last login and date joined. Great. Let's save this. So if we go back to the index page, now we would like to create our own web page. So let's get back to the code. So to create our own web page, we need to render our own template. So let's first make a template folder in our source here. So click the second icon here. So creating a new folder, type templates. Now we need to let Django know that this templates folder exists. So we go here to the core file settings. We go to templates and here in dir's directories we write base dir slash and in quotes templates. So now we can create our index file. Click the templates folder, click the first icon here. This is to create a new file and we call it index.html. I created a GitHub repository where we can grab some code for our templates. So let's go there. Let's go to github.com/ndjut/awesome. Here you can see I uploaded a bunch of templates we can just grab in this project. Our index is here, so we click on it and we grab the code with this icon here. Copy and paste it in our index.html. Save. Now let's have a look what we have here. Now to see this page we need to create a functionality. It's called an app in Django. An app is a feature which lets us see web pages but also stores data in the database. So if I bring up the Django process flow chart here, we can see here all the elements which make up a Django web app. Right now we have created a template. Now we need to create the controller and we need a path. When we have those three elements, the browser can then request a web page. The controller can then request the template and we send the web page back to the browser. Let's create our app now in the terminal. First we have to shut the server down with Ctrl+C. Then we write python manage.py startapp and the name of the app. In this app we will deal with a lot of posts, so I will call the app posts, but again prefix it with a underscore, so a underscore posts, and click enter. As we see here now, it created this a posts folder. We have again an empty init.py file. We have an admin.py file. In this file we register models to see them in the database interface. We will see that later. We have the apps.py file. In this file we declare the app's configurations, but also the register signals. Signals we will use later when we add user registration to the site. Then we have the models.py file. This file is used to build the tables for our database. Then we have test.py. In this file you can write some test code, which is useful when you're dealing with a big application. And we have the views.py file, which is the brain of our app, our controller, which handles all the business logic of the application. So the next step is to also add this app in our settings.py file. So let's go to the core, go to settings, and under install apps, we add it here. A underscore posts. There we go. Now Django knows about the existence of this app. Now we can write the logic to view our homepage. So let's go to views.py again. And we define here a function. In Python you define a function with the keyword def for define. The name of our function is home underscore view. And then in parentheses we type request. This is the request object we get from the browser, from the client. It tells us, for example, who the logged in user at the moment is, or also some metadata from the browser. So colon then. And then here for the moment we only return the template. So we write return. Our HTML template has to be rendered before it can be displayed on the browser, so we write render, and in parentheses again the request object, and then we add the template. In quotes write index.html. So Django knows where this template lives because we have connected it with the template folder, and it just sits inside the template folder. So now this is done. Save. Next step is to declare the path. So we go to urls.py file in the core folder, and here under the admin path we add another path for the home view. So path. Here in quotes we add nothing. That means there is no slash behind the domain. And then we add our function, so the home underscore view. But as we see here, we have not imported it yet, so we have to import it now from a underscore posts dot views. So we actually go in our a post folder, and then we go to the views, and from there we can say import home underscore view, like that. Or we can also write a star, which means we want to import everything from that file. So let's go with the star, save the file. Let's go back to the browser now and have a look. Let's refresh the page. And there we go, our template is loaded. One thing you can see here, I'm using here localhost. When a website is served from your local machine, you can also write localhost :8000, which corresponds to this address here.
If you're interested in learning how I build the front end of this website, check out my other tutorial series where I transform a web design into an HTML page using Tailwind CSS and Alpine.js. You can find a link in the description below.
So I can show you now how we can, for example, change the title here very easily. Let's go back to our views. Let's create a variable here with the name title. Title equals to, and in quotes, welcome to Django. And then we send this title to our template. So we add it here in the response as a Python dictionary. A Python dictionary is a key value pairing. It's written in curly brackets. First is the key we use in our templates. Let's use the key of title, colon, and now the value we give this key, and the value is title, which we grab from here. So our value comes from here, and in our template we access this value with this keyword. So let's save this one here. Let's go to our HTML. And if we go up and find the title, awesome photos and captions, and here we add a template variable, and the name of our variable is title. Template variables are written in 2 curly brackets. So this title is now dynamically loaded into the template from our backend. If you refresh the page, there we go, welcome to Django. We have now successfully connected the frontend with the backend. In the next video, we will explore the concept of modular web design, which involves breaking up the code into smaller components that can be reused and maintained more easily. See you there.